Miss District of Columbia. That's the first claim to fame for broadcast journalist Sonya Gavankar, who was crowned in 1997. In the years since, she's become a reporter here in Washington, D.C., and is also the face of the Newseum. We are here today at American University helping to judge the 2014 contestants vying for this year's title of Miss DC. It's an exciting day, and in between events we had the opportunity to sit down with Sonya to ask questions about the pageant, her career, and advice she has for other women who hope to follow in her footsteps. You are watching the Truly Amazing Women Show. I'm Hope Katz-Gibbs, your host. Welcome, Sonya.
Thank you.
We are so thrilled to have you here. So tell us, Miss DC, you were a contestant back in '97 when you were in America, here at American University.
It's kind of fun to be back where it all started for me. This was actually a condemned building when I was a student here. It's been that long, so they have this beautiful new facility that we now use for our prelims for Miss DC.
So tell us about how you got involved with the pageant.
I answered an ad in the school paper. It said young women looking for scholarship money, and I came to an audition very similar to this. I did not wear the appropriate clothing to it. I was wearing like black pants and probably boots similar to this, and just a sweater. So quickly had to figure out what I was doing and why I was doing it, and that I wanted to win it. I think I realized that very quickly, that I got very competitive quickly and thought, like, this is what I want to do. And I looked at some of the other contestants and thought, okay, that's the look that I need to try and attain in my own special way. So that's what I did.
And pageants, that was your first foray?
It was my first time. I mean, I watched it all the time. Who doesn't watch Miss America and Miss USA and Miss Universe? I watched them all, but never thought, oh, I should be on that stage doing stuff. But I had all the skills to do it, so it all came into being. So as Miss DC, you had the opportunity to go to the Miss America pageant. What was that like? It's exactly like you think. When you say, oh, what's that like? You know, I thought, like, what have I gotten myself into? But you find your tribe of women, and there's some women who you, like, you know, say, hey, and that's pretty much the only interaction you have with them. But then you make really good friends. One of the women I competed against, Miss Massachusetts, was one of my bridesmaids in my wedding. So you become very close to these women because you have this shared experience as well. And you remain very active in the Miss DC pageant. Tell us about your role and what this, I don't think many people know about this. Yeah, so once you compete and you go to Miss America, you know, people think like, well, where does it go from there? Well, a lot of us go on to do what we say in our opening statement. I'm Sonya Gavankar, I'm a sophomore at American University and I want to be a journalist. Well, I am one, but I also come back and I help the Miss DC and Miss America organizations locally. So I help run the organization in all assets and all facets, and I try and give the women what I didn't get from the experience. I didn't have a great prep team. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I try and give them that experience and set them up for a bigger success than I had. And today I had the opportunity to be a judge for the interview portion. It was fascinating. And then also inspiring, right? You sort of get the spectrum of young women who are these, you know, they're the age of your daughter, actually. These are young women who have great hopes and dreams. Some of them aren't sure how to attain them yet, and some of them are doing already great things. So that's what this process is. We bring in judges like you to sit down with them very quickly, 4 minutes for a private interview, 90 seconds for their talent, to assess if they should be competing for the title of Miss America. And it becomes very clear, as I'm sure now you know, there's some women who need a little bit more time to become more mature, and then there's some who you think, oh my God, I can't wait to watch Miss America this year because that girl is going to be Miss DC. And a lot of them were very well poised, and sometimes you really trusted them and you could see them wearing that crown and kind of going around and being an ambassador. One woman reminded me of Cinderella. I thought she would have been perfect. In a good way, though. In a very good way. Cinderella was good, in my opinion. But then there were other opportunities where I thought they had room for growth. Right. Which was great, like all of us. Right, exactly. And that's what we want from this experience, because only one young woman can go on to win Miss DC and then go on to Miss America. But, you know, we want 20 young women to have a positive experience, gain something and gain some knowledge about themselves so that they can be better. So later on in their life, maybe somebody will be like, what, you competed for Miss DC? And they'll say, yes, it was really great, and that's why I am better at my career, and this is why I got into the graduate school that I wanted. I'm sorry, you can hear my child in the background. It's very cute. We'll bring him on camera in a minute. His big debut. And now you are the face of the Newseum. Tell us how you got involved with that. Well, as a journalist, I was looking to do something that lasted longer than the 4-minute report that I would hopefully be doing on camera. So I found my way to the Newseum, where I produce documentaries and produce programming and host a lot of live conversations and that programming that we do for Newseum use that goes on to be broadcast on television. So I have this great opportunity to make living content. It's great to walk through the Newseum and see people so engaged with something that you've made that they're sitting on the floor in a museum watching your video. It's very rewarding.
And you are definitely a celebrity there. When I was with you last, people said, you are the woman in the, and they wanted your autograph. It was great.
It's nice. It's I guess when I'm in the Newseum, it's that feeling of, you know, you're a big fish in a small pond, which is nice when you're at work.
Yes, very nice.
But it also means when you go down to the food court, you have to look, presentable. I can't just sort of shovel on down to and be like, I need some French fries. Yeah, I have to look appropriate.
And you also work on local TV?
I do. I work at News Channel 8 and WJLA and some other stations around town, doing some of their live interviews. So that gives me a chance to go back into what my true love is, which is journalism.
And you are certainly living the dream that you set out for yourself when you were Miss DC.
Similar. They asked me in my interview what my 10-year goal was, and I said I imagine myself having a bag packed in the corner, being ready to go to whatever news story that's breaking. I have a bag packed. It's now full of diapers and like formula, so similar. But it's really great to know that I set up goals for myself and achieve them.
Excellent. So if you could tell your 25-year-old self now, or even when you were in Miss DC's seat, what would that be?
It would be that to have children sooner. I can't believe I'm saying this, but now I have, this incredibly laid-back child who goes with me everywhere and is game for it. If I had known that that was going to be that easy, I should have done this earlier. I would have more energy to do it, I think. I think it would be to stick to the goals and the intensity that I had when I was 21 and 22 and competing for Miss America. I had some intense goals, and I sort of maybe wasn't as intense through all of that time. I wish I had stayed with that intensity for the longevity of it.
Where do you think you'd be now if you had?
I'd be ruling the world.
You are ruling the world. What was a major crossroads in your career?
I feel like every week there's a crossroad lately. I feel like every week I have to make a decision about who I'm going to be in this next phase of my life. And I feel like it's a great time for me to say, this is the new road I'm going to take. I'm one of those people who doesn't always make a New Year's resolution in January. I make it throughout the year. So to reevaluate at different times and say, this is the time I'm going to be more intense about career. This is the time I'm going to be more intense about family. That's a good thing for me, and to keep up the intensity. I can sustain that, and I know that about myself now, that I don't need to have an ebb and flow. I can be intense all the time. I should go back to that.
Very interesting. Well, and that brings us to the truly amazing women aspect of the show. Do you think it's different for men than women in the business world?
Yes. I mean, the simple answer is yes. It is different, and I think the expectations of what we set men up to achieve and what we set women up to achieve is different. And I think that, again, things have totally changed in terms of frame of reference for me after having a child. Having a son, I would approach things exactly the same as if I had a daughter. And I would say to him the same things I would say to a daughter, just as I would be the same with a daughter about making her feel more empowered and stronger. I would want to say those same things to my son, but say, you need to think about your heart, you need to think about your personality, which I don't think we really say to men as much. So that way, when he is older, he finds a better match for himself as a unit with another person to take over the world.
Well, it's something that I kept thinking about throughout the judging this morning. There is no equivalent for men.
There isn't.
Which has so many facets to it. What's your perspective on it? Why isn't there a Mr. DC pageant?
Well, the Miss America pageant started as a swimsuit competition. It was purely cheesecake. It was a reason to keep people in Atlantic City past Memorial Day. It has grown dramatically. We expect women in this competition to have a purpose, a professional purpose, a personality. We expect them to have a philanthropic purpose. We expect them to have a talent. So we want women to achieve great things. And I think sometimes we say, you can be the president, but that's about it. What about being an athlete? What about being a scholar? What about being a musician? You have to cultivate a more balanced personality to be a success these days. And I think that men need to take that into account.
And so interesting is it's sort of a given for men, but women, we have to be everything.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Right? Which is, it's sort of an intrinsic issue. It's something that women feel compelled to do, is multitask. I think one of the girls said, I asked her what was special about her, and she said, I can multitask like nobody's business, So.
She should be Miss DC. Which one was it?
But it's interesting, I've never heard of men say that they pride themselves on multitasking.
Well, do they have the ability? I wonder if they have the genetic code to multitask. Maybe I will have birthed the first multitasker. I can only hope, because sometimes I think women should be able to also, unitask? Do one thing, do it really well and concentrate on it, as opposed to okay, I have to do that, I have to do the laundry, I have to do my career, and I have to update my resume. And sometimes you just have to focus like a laser on one thing to do it properly. So I think it's important for men to step up and for women to just take it down a notch for a second and do it right.
I really appreciate about men is that they have a compass in their head. And maybe that's part of that focus.
Right.
They remember where they were. We kind of, it's all fascinating.
Although my father could never find his car, so I don't know if he could remember where he was at any given time in that way.
2 more questions for you. So what's your top leadership lesson for other women?
I would say that women, especially thinking about where we are today at the prelims, I think women should really, it's almost what you said, find their compass, find their heart, find their gut instinct as soon as possible, because it will help them make decisions more instinctively later and not second guess it. Not be like, oh, I wonder if that is that. No, you know your gut, you make the decision, you move on to the next thing. I think that would really be a good leadership skill for women.
You are clearly at the top of your career. What's next for you?
I really hope I'm not at the top of my game. I really hope that there's far more for me to learn, to gain, to grow. I hope that there's only bigger and more interesting things for me to accomplish. I hope this isn't the end. I hope this isn't the top.
Very good. I'm sure it's not. And we look forward to seeing great things from you, Sonya Gavankar.
Thank you for judging today, too.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing the next phase. Thank you so much for being here, Sonya.
Thank you.
In each episode of the Truly Amazing Women show, we end with a parting thought. For Sonya, we think this one embodies what she does for the world. One learns most from teaching others. It was a fortune I found in a cookie at P.F. Chang's last night, but it couldn't sum up Sonya better. So thank you so much for being with us. You are watching the Truly Amazing Women TV show. I'm Hope Katz-Gibbs, your host. We'll look forward to talking to you soon.